Welcome to the Best Hour of Their Day podcast with your hosts, Jason Fernandez.
And me, Jason Ackerman. With more than 20 years in the business,
As both coaches and affiliate owners,
our passion is to help create world-class affiliates
and coaches by building
better boxes. Welcome to
the best hour of your day. All right, everybody. Welcome back to Best Hour of Their Day. Welcome back to Best Hour of Their Day. I'm not saying I've never done this before, but 700 is probably the magic number. No, we are here at Pushin Weight with the crew. Kara, Ashley, Tyler, thank you guys for having us. We're going to talk about the most useful piece of equipment in the affiliate, which is the reverse hyper, which is perfect for doing podcasts, oddly enough. No, but you guys are just outside of Richmond. What is this? Powhatan? I was going to say Powhatan. That's definitely not correct. Powhatan, southwest of Richmond, roughly. Okay, cool. About 2 hour drive from CrossFit Rife. But thank you guys for having us. We're in this phenomenal facility. Nate is going to have B-roll for this, but this is beautiful. You guys have done a ton of really cool stuff here. The attention to detail in little tiny things, like in the bar. Yes, there's a bar. In the bathrooms. The fact that you guys have a front desk up there, all those things are super rad. So bravo to you guys. It's really, really cool. I walked in and I was like, I got FOMO. We're up here in the mezzanine, everybody. It's fancy. But you guys have been here for how many years?
7 years.
7 years.
7 years, man.
Where were you before this?
It's right behind here. We rolled our stuff down
Baseball throw that way.
Okay. What did that facility kind of look like this, or is it
it was looked exactly like this?
This is all credit to Ashley.
Carbon copy.
We always joke, if Tyler and I would have designed the gym, it would not be this. So this is, it would have been much more functional.
That's fair.
A lot less wood.
She's the stylish one. If you can't tell with the glasses, she brings
work, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have a kitchen over there, right? Yeah, I mean, listen, it's this is very much about as close as I could get to an ideal setup for me if I was to design a gym. I love the mezzanine portion. I love just the hangout areas that you guys little cubbies and tuckaways that you guys have put everywhere. I think it's really, really rad. So, how long have you guys been open as Pushin Weight? Because it was originally you.
11 years.
February.
Congrats, 10 years. It's a big deal.
So we just this past February we did our 10-year anniversary party.
Mm-hmm. Congrats.
So it's cool.
What do you guys do for your anniversary party?
We rented out a local bar up in Richmond and just had food and drinks brought in and just gave everybody an opportunity to just hang out and celebrate and talk. And from the 1 year members to, again, this morning you met two people that have been here for a decade. And for
both of those gentlemen were 178 years old.
Combined.
Tyler's we're going to go in this room and see there. And it's two old gentlemen laying on the floor. I was they might be dead.
We did also take our 10-year members. We have probably 17 or so that have been with us for the full 10 years. And we took them all out to dinner as a separate.
That's really cool.
And they got coins.
Yes, please, the coins.
Yeah, so we were just talking about this. There's certain things that drive affiliate owners bonkers, and that is but Signs RX is going to help us solve that, and we're going to have affiliate packages and all that stuff. More to come.
Perfect.
But so talk to me about that. So when did the partnership happen? So you opened 11 years ago.
So I opened February 2013, and then it was me and one other business partner at the time, and he's still around. He's still a member.
That's cool.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. It's typically not normal, if I was to be honest.
We're lucky.
It's just, for that individual, it's just, work-life balance, stuff like that.
Yep.
And then they were both members and been around for a while, and they just enjoyed they saw, I guess, the diamond in the rough and wanted to bring that out. Yep.
Tyler,
I know.
we might be able to do something with this. Oh, sorry. We might be able to fix this guy.
Still no diamond here. But so they came on board, and it was about a year and a half later is where, was it 2016?
You opened in your garage, and then you moved into this spot.
Yeah.
And then when you moved here is when we were, and that was what year?
But y'all
2016 is when we
2016,
took in
and
partnership.
we came over here.
So this is technically your fourth spot. So garage, space 3 technically, and then 4.
But I wasn't affiliated in the garage.
IPtheft.com.
So it was just me and a couple of people just working out, and I was just trying to hone my craft, right? I was kind of new to CrossFit. And there was only one in this area at the time, and they had just kind of opened and didn't really have any coaching availability. And couldn't bring on somebody in that case. So It was just me grinding out with a couple clients and friends in the garage, just trying to.
And we still have one of those coaches that was grinding it out with him. He's one of our coaches now, so it's really cool. We've got video of them working out in the garage, and
that's awesome.
So it's really cool.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And we finally found a space, moved in. It was cool. It was obviously much smaller, but
Tyler was working from 5 a.m. till.
Was that your full-time gig at the time?
Yeah. It was. I mean, it's still full-time gig, but
I mean, when you started, you're like, "This is what I'm doing. I'm just gonna."
Yeah.
I love
hammer.
Yeah.
We actually ran 75-minute long classes.
On purpose?
Yeah.
Okay.
On purpose.
Yeah.
I thought it might have been like a 9 a.m. today.
Well, no, it was like,
a 63-minute class.
A lot more lifting, a lot more of that competitive lifestyle, right? And like,
it was quite a bit different.
But so you were at that point you were intentionally running 75-minute classes.
Yeah,
was that to put more stuff in the class?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
What? So what was?
So we would do like, so we would come in, warm up. We would do like a major lift, right? And then we would do almost like a supplemental piece before the Metcon.
Okay.
So it would be like, let's say come in, overhead squats, and then the supplemental piece would have been like some like Bulgarian split squats, like like a lower body day.
Some accessory work.
Yeah, but before the Metcon, and then we'd have like a short and sweet.
Yeah, our brand was quite different back then. It was. Did you see the Hulk that was above the Cubbies?
Yeah, that badass logo.
So
right
that
there,
logo was huge on the wall.
We were talking about that. I asked him, and I was like, "Is that?"
It was. We were known. I think our brand at the time was like, "That's where the athletes go. That's where all the meatheads."
Young
and,
They
men
all
with
had
no
that
shirts.
same tone.
Ashley's
Yes,
saying
that's
that as
how
if
they
she was not one of the people that was there.
That's why I came here. I walked in. I saw these girls squat, and I was like, "I want to do that. I still can't, but that's what got me."
Hey. Those are long levers.
Right.
So,
Although a fun time, it doesn't quite necessarily pay the bills.
so talk to me about that. So you're there, you're grinding it out, and then what's that like, right?
Like in that environment, as far as like an owner,
Yeah.
it keeps the head above water,
Okay.
right? But you're not like swimming. You know what I mean? You're not sitting in a
Steady
boat
state drowning.
or a raft for that matter. And you know, as a business owner, you want to be on a yacht, right? So that's what they helped bring to the table when they came on board. Was they pulled me out of the water and put me in this little life raft.
Like, hey, take my hand.
Like, let me get you out of this shark and water.
You don't look like you're having a good time.
Yeah.
Okay, so they are members at this point.
Yes.
She was a coach.
Yeah,
Oh, you were
Tyler and
coaching.
I met
Yeah.
at a previous CrossFit gym coaching.
Oh,
And then-
okay.
Yeah, and then I came over when he opened Pushin
Okay.
Weight.
She said I had a really great squat and just kind of followed me from that point forward.
That's how I judge people.
Yeah.
What's your background? Like, what's your sports, or if at all?
High school athlete, went to college, played football, got hurt, and then was like, you know what, I'm gonna join the military. So went in the military. That's really where the love and passion for fitness came, because I got to help other enlisted members with theirs. Mm-hmm. And then
Were you running FEP?
yeah.
FEP is like
Yeah.
where if you're in trouble for fitness scores, you got to go to FEP.
It's like a fitness enhancement program.
Yeah.
So
We
you
should do that.
basically took people that needed help with
Poor scores, you guys are going to FEP.
Right? So started doing a lot of that and got real involved with the command in that front. Increased a little bit of the knowledge base, and then when I got out of the service, waiting to go to college, I was like, I gotta do something. So I was like, why not be a personal trainer? So I went and got accredited, went through that whole working at the local Gold's Gym, started meeting clients, doing stuff, and then it's funny because at that point it was just traditional training.
Right.
I had a buddy who was like an amateur MMA fighter, and was like, dude, I want you to learn about this CrossFit stuff.
What time is this?
This was like 2009, 10.
This is like everybody's an amateur MMA fighter, basically.
Yeah, right? Like,
Affliction is at its peak.
100%. Luckily, he didn't buy any of that, but that's 100% the time. Okay.
Everyone needs a foil shirt. Is all I'm hearing.
Why
Sure
not?
she
Yeah.
still has a hoodie.
I still have some dragon jeans still floating around somewhere. Okay.
So that's kind of started doing that, and I was like, well, if I'm going to go take this certification, I need to start doing some of the workouts. So started doing some main side stuff. Imagine somebody trying to farmer's carry 400 meters inside of a gym.
It's a lot of turns.
With a barbell.
With a barbell.
Yeah, because we didn't have handles, right?
Even
So
better.
like back then, it was just like load up this barbell and try to carry it. So it was an interesting experience.
Oh my God. How long did that last?
I was there. At that point, like I was like, all right, I need to buy like sandbags and some stuff like that to help offset, and started doing it with my clients. And they gave me my own little area.
At the gym?
Yeah. But it was a very, very small area. Right.
To do CrossFit.
It's a 4x4 square. Don't move.
And so that was for probably a better part, a little over a year doing that. And then we ended up venturing into the garage because I had a client that was trying to train for the military. And I was like, dude, let's just buy some equipment, we'll put it in my garage, and we'll work out there.
Yeah.
You and I. And then some of my clients were like, I want to do some of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to come learn to clean and snatch and, do stuff like that. So they all started kind of trickling over. And then we got to the point where I was like, I can't do one-on-one in the garage anymore. I don't have enough time. And so we started doing like 2 or 3 at a time, which gave me a very small group atmosphere. And then one of my clients at the time was like, let's just open up a spot. So we started searching.
Cool.
So that's the guy he was with when he came in.
Okay, so like, yo, let's do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. And then we just took it and ran it. And, he did his regular 9-to-5 job, and I just opened and shut the gym down every day.
And trained for
and trained competitively at that time, too.
Yeah, because you went to regionals.
Yeah, 14.
14.
Yeah.
Yep. And, okay, so Kara's training. She's coaching.
Yep.
At the, are you affiliated? You're not affiliated?
Yeah, no, not at the garage we weren't, but when we opened the spot,
you moved,
first day
affiliated.
was
Okay.
affiliation, right? Like, get that done.
That's cool. And then I know you guys have been partners in crime for a long time, but I don't actually think I know
we met
that.
randomly at a lunch through a mutual friend.
Yes.
So we didn't really know each other too well before coming in, but I know when she first came to Pushin Weight, I had to get her from that lobby, and I was like, step into the gym.
Yeah,
You're
I was
okay.
nervous. I was scared. Like I
have
had
that
been
effect on people,
CrossFitting.
you know what I mean?
Well, that was kind of the brand of Pushin Weight. I
Right.
had been at another CrossFit gym for like a year, and then I started thinking I wanted to come over here because there were some competitive athletes. And I walked in, and I'm like, I don't know where to go. That's honestly one of the reasons that this is designed the way it is, and there's somebody
I
up
love
front.
that, by the way.
Because I wanted there to be a person, and I didn't want anyone to see beyond this yet until they had talked to a person.
I love that
It's
so
overwhelming,
much.
right?
So that
100%.
is so
Yeah.
much part of like what I'm passionate about because of the stigma of CrossFit and why it's designed that way, because that is the experience. I walked in, I'm like, where do I go? Who do I talk to? And I'm scared, and I hear a bunch of stuff. And then when I opened up the door, was that big gym that it was like scary. And I was like, there's a person that I kind of know a little bit.
Latch
Yeah.
on,
From
right?
there,
Like latch on.
For somebody I know. Yeah, and so obviously Nate can show B-roll of the lobby. We walked in, I was like, oh, this is fantastic. Like, and the doors, you have those double doors there, so you can't even see in the gym.
Right.
And obviously, if you have the ability to have a lobby, I think it's ideal. Not everybody has the ability to do, but I still think you can do certain things where you can have like a front desk or something that is like a barrier before they kind of like they kind of like it's not
Wander
walking
into the
into the
floor.
class,
Yeah.
you know.
Where, yeah.
So, but that's cool that you designed that way because of your experience.
Yeah. So then I was just an athlete for probably a year there, I guess. And then I feel like
you know what happened for that? You and I started helping out, and we wanted to make an official offer. You were where did you go? You were off at a camp somewhere.
Oh,
Power
so
Monkey.
I've done like Power Monkey,
Yeah.
Right.
camps,
And
like
we were
all
like,
kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
let's do some
You're like
stuff
a
around
training
here
guy.
while he's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I asked. I happened to talk to Ashley and one of our coaches now, Amina, and I was like, I think I want to help them. Like this, there's a lot of low hanging fruit here. And Ashley's like, I'm in. I want to help too. And then the other partner at the time was like, I'm ready to step out. Got a full time job, and I can't keep doing this.
Yeah.
So,
There, like you said, I mean, there was a really good core thing going on, but there was so much low hanging. He wasn't going to work on the business. He was in it 24/7.
Well, that's where a lot of box owners start. They're training nerds. They're like, that's where I started. Like I was
Right.
just like, I love training. I came from an athletic background, and then at some point you just kind of look up and you're like, oh, I should probably figure some of this stuff
Right.
out, right? And then you can either learn it or you can find
Right.
partners to kind of fill those gaps for you. But dude, I don't. How do you feel about this? I don't know. Maybe there are more training nerds now than there were before, but I feel like more people are just. I don't think people are as. They don't nerd out as much on training as they do on competing. Where I think before people we would nerd on like trying all different types of training styles, like conjugate. I just was playing around with a 5-3-1 template here recently. I'm like, oh, this is like all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. I feel, or maybe I'm just removed from that.
No, I mean,
I
think like, especially for a lot of us starting out, we ride the high of it and we enjoy the competitive side of things. So you want to put your best foot forward. You want to be the best athlete you can be. And in turn, like things hurt, like you sacrifice time spent in building your business and growing your brand and things of that nature. So it's like after all that said and done, they came on board when I moved here, right, in 2017, that was kind of like, all right, cool. That's on the back burner.
Yeah.
Right. Like I'm not going to.
So you made a conscious decision. You're like, hey, I'm going to put training to the side.
Yeah. So now it's like I train once a day, 4 to 5 days a week.
Well, and our avatar completely changed from there because honestly, that's where he was leading from. So that's where we were going. Everybody, it was a competitive, and we're like, okay, there's only X amount of competitors in the RVA area.
Or the continental United States.
True.
Matter, yeah.
But that whole switch helped the whole brand switch. So like, how can we help the most people?
Yeah.
And that wasn't going to be it. And then of course we had already started to make that turn when we were at the old spot.
Yeah.
But it really came to fruition when we moved into this space
Yeah.
because then it wasn't as scary and it wasn't as meatheady and it
like
wasn't as
70-ish members when we moved down
wanna
here, maybe.
We were probably 70 or 80 when we
Right?
moved into
Like,
here,
I
don't
would
you
say,
think?
Like roughly
Oh,
70.
I thought when you and I took.
Oh yeah, when
Like-
you and I
like when
took
we
in, there was
moved
maybe
from-
60 members,
From up there to down here was like around 70-ish, right? Give or take?
maybe 100.
Give or take?
Maybe
I'd say
100
between
or so.
75 100.
Right, so somewhere around there. And then
But
like,
that was a big.
then we had all this
change.
space. It's like, well, we need to fill it.
So what are you guys at now? Like 3?
Sit around
two-
30
yeah.
or so.
260
60
for
Yeah,
just
yeah,
CrossFit
okay.
classes.
Right,
We
right.
have some other people in
Okay.
Modified, but yeah.
Yeah, so I mean it's a larger gym.
Yeah.
The okay, so 2016, so we're going on 8 years in the partnership. And what I think is unique about this is you're making a 3 partnership relationship work, which is very rare. Talk to me about that.
Well, we always say that we're.
Well, it's tough when you're the prettiest one in the group.
I was gonna say
You know
that.
what I
How
mean?
did you
Yeah,
know?
it's like they're very envious of that.
Yeah, I get it.
The
Jealousy.
hair, yeah, it's
a lot
tough.
of mean
part-
girl stuff going on.
That part is rough for me to accept, but
I just wish I was the tallest.
That's fair.
keep
too.
on wishing. We always talk about how our members will talk about how we're all different, and I'd like to say that we purposefully put that together, but it just really fell into that way that, he was this trainer that had that knowledge. I had a background in design and hospitality. She had some corporate background to help keep us organized. And so that really helped get us in our lanes from the beginning, and not that we haven't switched and ran into each other's
There's gonna be
paths some.
overlap.
Right. But that, if I could write it out on paper, that's kind of the 3 tiers that you would
our-
want
our-
to build that.
Yeah, our titles kind of tell us all, right? Like Director of Death, coaching, programming, Director of Fun, right? So she brings.
Well, that's
the
right. I
vibe.
was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
that is on your door. Over there, director. of
And
fun.
then
Director of Get Shit Done.
right. So it's kind of like the glue that holds it all together.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that's why when
So-
we have questions for you guys, we're like, just go to Kara.
Yep.
Don't ask Ashley.
She's gonna take care of that.
No, but
organization.
but sometimes that's just the way it works. Like, so I would contend Marcus and Jay and I are like that. Like, we didn't plan that, but like all of us sit in very different seats, and I don't know if it is how it is for you guys, but there's no desire to overlap.
Right.
Where I'm just like, I do not want to do that. You don't want to do this. He doesn't want to do that. And I'm like, all right, everybody just do your thing, and let's figure out how to communicate better so that we stay more plugged in.
Sure.
And we're not making life more difficult
What's
for
that?
each other.
Yeah.
Communicate better?
What
Can
is
you
that?
elaborate
Is that-
on what that might be?
Using
That's not my
words.
vernacular. I communicate all day, actually. So
Yeah. So talk about that a little bit. So obviously there's some symbiosis there. Obviously you guys kind of naturally land in your unique seats, but that still doesn't mean it comes without
Sure.
like bumps in the road.
Sure.
What are some of those?
I think staying on the same page with things. I think as far as sometimes member experience or keeping communication up, like that can be feel different between the 3 of us.
Well, and it's a challenge too. And we've talked about if we were open 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, and we were here together every day from 9
Right.
to 5. Yeah, I think that would be easy peasy. It's hard when we're open from 5 a.m. to 7. We've got sometimes you're here, sometimes you're there.
overlapping
So
times,
that
yeah.
that lack of overlapping time sometimes, or sometimes it's these 2, or sometimes it's me and him, or vice versa.
Right.
And we're like, oh yeah, Tyler and I talked about that. Weren't you there? That type of thing. So I think having
challenge.
3 makes it harder
Yeah.
to make sure that we're, all talking.
just trying to schedule a weekly meeting, right? Like
Yeah, that can sometimes
it bounces. Like we're like on Mondays, and then like Mondays, like
I'll
days
give
just
you
come
some
up,
like
and-
we do this. We have a standing Friday meeting that is non-negotiable between Jay and Marcus and
Yeah.
I. And I tell you what, anytime we skip that, stuff falls through the cracks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anytime. No, if it's 1 week, something comes up like, oh shit, we forgot to talk about that, and then like that's now 5 days
Right.
behind or something like that. So I would try to find something and
Ours
then
is
just
Wednesday.
don't.
We're having it right now.
Oh, let's talk about it. What's on the agenda for today?
So we,
But I think it's we talk about this for Best Hour all the time. That is that the most important thing for what we're trying to accomplish is that the three of us stay plugged in. So like that is the priority, so that we're just all on the same page, so that we communicate to the team the same message. It's effectively done, all that kind of stuff. Because dude, everybody has their own personalities, and the second that we're not like aligned on that, and we haven't like even had like a brief conversation on, I'll say something that I assumed but wasn't fully correct, and then it creates this weird chain.
It's like
of
a blended family, like having kids that are trying to get mom and dad against each other.
Right.
Well, she said, well, you said, you know.
And it's not intentional.
No,
it's just like the weird telephone game. We're like, oh, well, that's not exactly what we meant.
Right.
And that can be frustrating for our staff as well.
Oh, that's the point. Yeah, that's the whole version.
All of y'all get together, please. You know, and we did. I think over 2023, we did a lot better. We're more consistent, mostly because part of the organization around Affiliate U helped us kind of find that rhythm. Because I think for a while there, we met sometimes, but then we'd also, because we can crank this gym pretty well, like we'd also go quite some time without talking to each other.
Yeah, that's like and I remember when you guys started, that was one of the things we talked about, because you came in and I'm looking at it, I'm like, this is a good gym, you know, by all objective metrics. And you're like, yeah, but we got to get here. And I'm like, okay, cool. So let's figure out how we do that. Because, you know, people look at this like, man, this is awesome, right? Like you walk in here like, this is beautiful. And it is awesome. But it also comes with a lot more moving parts, right? With regard to the number of staff, classes, scheduling, facility maintenance, programs. Like it is awesome. Yeah, all that kind of stuff, which you want, but it doesn't come without the additional stress of you know, the extra work involved in that, and that does take work.
Yeah, it's something I always say. It's like, oh, I'm busy. I hate that term. I'm busy. Everybody's busy, and it's like there's not one hard thing that we have. It's 1,000 little things that make it harder
all day, every day.
Yeah.
So, what are some of the things over the past year that you guys have looked at, and either, I don't know, you're like, we don't even need to do that, or we need to do this better? Is it communication? Is it meetings? Is it how you interact with the staff?
I think communication between the three of us, and then to our staff, and then from our staff to our membership base.
So talk to me about that.
Like, you know, Kara's always like, we need to over communicate. So like, whereas I'm like, I think we talk a lot, but you know, I'm talking a lot as far as like class instruction, but it's not informing members about what's going on.
Oh, got it.
You know, it's easy to get in our silos of like, here's what I'm doing and here's what you're doing.
Like,
and
we
we're
did talk about
working.
it, but I'm like, yeah, but it was just me and you.
Yeah,
nobody else knows.
Right. Well, that's the thing. It's like we have to go Slack, put it in Slack, and then we're like, Slack it, working. What's going on?
And you can do Wodify stuff. You can do class announcements. You can put it in the newsletter. You can, and still you have members like, what's going on?
Yeah.
You know.
Oh yeah.
And
that you guys have heard me say that.
Congratulations for making Committed Club. She's like, what's that?
You're like, never mind. I'm taking it back.
What?
Yeah, I tell people all the time, I'm like, they're like, where should I put it? I'm like, everywhere.
Right.
Like, there's no place you're not going to communicate that. And I think it just, you continually realize, like, when things like that happen, that they're like the amount of volume in any one given piece of communication that you need, particularly as you like grow to a larger gym, to make sure that everybody gets it. It seems silly. You're like, do we really need to put that out 14 times? You're like, yes. Because we put it out 13,
21.
10% of the people won't know.
Right.
So we got to put it out 14 times. And our people are like, okay, it seems like, you know, overwhelmed. But I'm like, but it's not, because what's worse is somebody shows up to the gym and the gym's closed because they're an event. And they're like, oh my God, like, why is the gym closed? You know? So that is part of the process, is like learning, okay, what's the appropriate volume? And then what needs to go from the three of you to the staff, and then how does that go from the staff to the members, in what mediums, on what frequency, all that kind of stuff. And like, that's a perfect example of, you don't need to worry about those things when you're the only dude running the gym. Like, that's just not a thing. Like, it doesn't need to go through 4 people to get distributed in 7 different places. They walk in the garage and I'm like, hey, just a reminder about tomorrow. And they're like, got it. And then when we're done. Where now it's like, all right, social media, email, text, announcements at the whiteboard. There needs to be something else over here, and that needs to go in the Slack channel. And you're like, damn, just because we're going to have lunch tomorrow? And you're like, yeah, pretty much. So, okay. What do you guys have in store? What's your big goal or target for 2024?
We have revenue goals, but we've had a 2024 planning session already. So we did.
So before you go in, how do you guys do that?
We got out of the gym.
We do.
For
I think that's the best way to do it.
Find a neutral site. We what's it called? Gather.
Yeah, it's like a community working
It's like a
spot.
like a co-working space.
We rented out a conference room, sat down for a couple hours that morning, and just went over what we did well, what we need to improve on.
Is this just the three of you?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then do you do something similar with their staff after that?
You know,
Well, like
we
catch them up on it. I
Yeah,
guess.
I don't think we did that well this year. A lot of times going into that, I try to get feedback from the staff, and it kind of just came up and sort of surprised me this year. So that's notes for me for next year because I want to get their feedback on what they think didn't
Right.
work and what went well. Because we want to review 2023. Yes, what didn't work? What did we do really well? What are we still struggling with? And so we need more input from our staff. And then it's going to be we're doing a social thing in December. And we only do one staff meeting a month right now, but I'm really proud because we actually did it every month this year.
Yep.
First year
Staff
for
meeting
that.
as a full, not
Yeah,
As a
the
full
three of
staff.
us.
So
I don't,
we'll-
I don't think you need more than that for like a full. I think that's plenty.
And we'll debrief then in January on kind of plans for 2024. The other big thing we're going after is just staff development. We haven't been
Yeah,
great
that's what
with
we're doing
that.
today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, gonna get those classes on time, Tyler.
Don't shotgun them. Layer it up, baby.
But even figuring out how that works for our front desk staff, because it's a little, strange for like sitting somewhere. Because if Ashley's in the lobby, like looking at doing a evaluation for our concierges, people interact with her, so it changes the dynamic a little bit. I
see what you're saying.
Yeah, but it's stuff we want to figure out and make sure they feel taken care of, and the development that they want as well, in addition to our coaching stuff.
I want to go back because I want to talk about the concierge. Like, what I'm assuming this was kind of your idea.
Mm-hmm.
How did that come out? What about?
I actually used to work in the design industry where I had a concierge at a stone company where the architects and the designers would come in. So I had
like
somebody at the
marble
front
and
desk.
slate and stuff. Yeah.
So there was somebody that sat at the front, and she was like the gatekeeper basically
Mm-hmm.
before you got to anyone, and that was a huge part of like how do we bring that hospitality piece that's both like in the hotel industry into the gym. I
Yeah.
always tell our staff it's not other gyms that are our competition. It's where they're spending their money, other places, and where are these people frequenting. Our clients are going and staying at Ritz-Carlton. They're staying, they're flying first class. Well, they need to be in a first class experience when they're walking in here because that's what they're used to.
That's a great observation. And listen, not everybody's staying at the Ritz and stuff like that.
Sure.
But within reason, I think a lot of gyms are servicing clients that are, middle to upper income.
Sure.
Probably they have disposable income at most gyms. Not everywhere. I get it. But if you think about it through that lens, if they're going to nicer restaurants and then there's a discrepancy between what they experience there and what they experience at the gym, at some point that has to start to kind of like resonate with them,
Right.
good or bad,
Yeah. Right.
And but that's a really interesting way. Have you guys read the book Unreasonable Hospitality?
Yes, just read it.
Yeah,
actually.
that book is amazing.
I love that book. We there was actually
TED
put
Talk.
it into the TED Talk from that too. But it was
Okay.
around those things, and I started challenging the concierges the hot dog story.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That type of thing. And
So
and,
would you mind telling that story just if you remember it? But
yeah. So the owner of the restaurant owns this crazy nice restaurant in New York
it's
City.
like a 5-star,
Yeah,
best
5-star
top restaurant in
Michelin.
the world.
Like he's
yeah.
worked so hard to get it to that place. There is a family that comes in. They have been all over New York City. They've had everything that they've wanted to do in New York, but they're sitting there and the waiter overhears them say, "We did everything, but I didn't get a hot dog from the vendor,
Right.
New York hot dog."
Yeah, they're from a hot dog stand.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're in this, 5-star Michelin. So the waiter hears that, tells the manager goes out, gets the hot dog. They bring it back, they plate it, they make it really pretty, and they deliver that. And that made this huge, huge impression on them.
Yeah.
And it cost, $1,
Right.
whatever, $2, whatever it is in New
Right.
York City now. So it is how do we take those kind of and that's what we keep trying to challenge the concierges with. What can we hear and back to that communication piece. Hey, he knows everything about these people. They tell him everything. How can you communicate that with our concierge? With
so
this?
that's what I think is cool. Like, how do you start to transfer that information? That's the cool
And
part.
it doesn't have to be a lot of money when you're getting detailed and when you're hearing those
most of the
things.
time, I don't think it is much money at all.
No.
Like the hot dog
Dude,
scenario.
this is so silly and it's so dumb, but I got these stupid stickers off of Temu. and they were just, some about vegan, some about vegetarian or whatever. Had a sticker, put it on a postcard with one of our stickers on the front of the car. A girl left it said, "I don't eat my friends," and it had pictures of. She was like, "Thank you for my sticker," because we heard that she's a vegetarian,
Right?
And just listening to her,
Yeah, instead of just being like, "You should eat meat," you're like, "Here's a vegetarian card."
It's back to the sign that when you guys came in that said "Welcome, Fern" and Nate.
I messed up Holly, by the way. She was like, "Hey, you must be," and I was like, "Jason." She was like, "Then I put the wrong name." And I was just like,
amazing.
I was like, "I ruined it. I'm sorry. I just never introduced myself as
Poor
Fern."
Holly.
I
That's
still
hilarious.
think it's weird.
I'm so glad she said that though,
Yeah.
because I'd say that was one of the things. We're expecting you.
Yeah.
So the concierge needs to know
I ruined
that
it.
person.
I ruined it. Yeah,
Jason.
my fault.
Jason sounds like
I
you're in
just I
trouble.
can't get over that hump. I just find it weird to introduce myself as Fern because anytime I do, I get like a weird take. They're
right.
Like,
I can see
like
that.
at first they're like Vern or like the plant, and I'm like, it's a long story. So I was introducing myself as Jason, but then in that scenario, I blew it, and I was just like, "I'm sorry. No, you did your job. That definitely is me.
That's me.
and
Good.
Nate. So
but
good job."
we say that silly little sign has sold more memberships
they love it.
than anything because that we know that you're coming and we're expecting you and we prepared for you.
Yeah, that's a
We had a week where there was the lady. She's like, "I don't know when I'm going to be in," and you were like, "Make the sign and have it up at all times."
Yeah,
so it's like
cute.
for a whole week. We had
she
this
just
little
knows.
sign.
You're just, how did you know I was coming?
Yeah.
We didn't. We just played the odds.
Well,
The
that's
whole- the whole
thing.
staff was
Is
ready
how,
for it.
how
They
can
didn't
you
promise us.
how can you blow their minds?
Yeah.
And there's little things to make them feel a little bit more comfortable about coming and using a barbell.
I love this so much. We were not even planning on talking about this, but I have said this until I'm blue in the face. Nobody knows the difference between a level 1 and level 4 coach.
Yeah, no.
They have no idea. They might be like, "Oh, that person's pretty good," but they have no concept of what that means. I would argue they don't even care. And I would argue they shouldn't.
Yeah, they don't.
Everybody understands that, though. Everybody understands. I'm like, "Oh, they took whatever 5 minutes to put these little letters on this little," I don't even know what you call those signs, but like to put my name in there and stick the letters on there so that it's straight and all that kind of stuff. And they're like, "That's customer service." Everybody understands customer service. Whether you are, spend a lot of money on nice experiences or not, everybody understands being seen.
Right.
And I think that is the important part. So I think if you lead with that, and then that with good systems is slapped on top of offering a really good quality service and product on the floor, that, in my mind, is the perfect marriage. That's the whole 50-50 model that we talk about. It's just
Yeah.
like, you got to have great coaches, but you also got to have the rest of the things. And having one without the other in either direction, in my mind, is a huge miss.
Yep.
And that's where I think somebody were like, all you guys care about is like cheese. But I'm like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, ask anybody I've ever talked to. And I'm like, I'm going to tell you, like, what's the number one attention to? I'm like, it's the class. And then you make that experience amazing by doing these little tiny things. Like you guys gave, what was her name? Chrissy.
She
Yeah.
had
So
her
like
workout patch.
perfect delivery right in the middle of the whiteboard briefing. He was like, hey, and you had like a little nice sweet thing to say about her. And you gave her 200 WOD patch. And she was like super stoked about that. And I talked to her afterwards. Well, not like later on in the class. I was like, hey, congratulations. She's like, yeah. She's like, honestly, she's like, first she thought I was talking about what she was going to snatch. She's like, well, I'm not snatching 200 pounds. I was like, I appreciate your confidence, Chrissy, but that's not what I was talking about. And I said, congrats. I was like, that's awesome. She's like, yeah, honestly, like it was actually kind of a motivator for me to get this patch. And I was like, that's what I'm talking about, man. Like a stupid patch that she probably doesn't even have anything to put that on, by the way. She doesn't strike me as somebody who's carrying around a Go Ruck backpack,
Yeah, her Murph vest she wears everywhere.
But that's precisely what I'm talking about. Like those little tiny things to enhance their experience, because coming in here and doing whatever the workout is today the fitness is a byproduct of all of this.
Yeah.
Like it's impossible not to get healthier by coming into a CrossFit affiliate.
Yeah.
So, okay. So then let's talk about coach development. So like, what are your targets there for, what have you identified? What do you guys want to happen, or what do you see as a gap for the staff?
Just overall development, like the flow of class, the product that we deliver. I mean, obviously knowledge. We want to
Plug for the knowledge. If you guys haven't taken a look at that, go ahead and sign up now. There's a special for that, or Knowledge Pro. We had a lot of questions about what is the knowledge. So what you guys think about the knowledge is just a comprehensive video library for running better classes inside the affiliate. So how to run progression, coaching tips, cues, full class evals, everything you would want to know to run better classes inside of your affiliate. And the beauty is the vast majority of it is done in bite-sized chunks, think 5 to 7 minutes every day. So you can watch that video, walk out onto the floor, and run killer classes. So check it out. Check out the knowledge.
Right. So
back to you.
But just developing on their skills,
Yeah.
right? The knowledge base around things. Like,
Right.
I always, like I was telling you, kind of not joke about, but like jovial about fun feel fitness, right? Like I want our members to come in, have a great time working out because it keeps them coming back, be safe while doing it. And all of that, a lot of that comes from the coach.
Yeah.
What product or how we deliver and things of that nature. So, but at the end of the day, like we all need to improve and we all have holes in our game and we just got to start filling and plugging those in.
Yeah, I mean, it's a never-ending game. And you guys have different problems here. So, like, you guys run 9 classes a day, and you were telling me, like, because you guys run a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yep.
Is that right in the morning? And you said, which one of those are almost always packed out? The 5,
6, 7 are typically
5, 6, 7,
25
25 plus, right?
Yeah.
So in the first 3 hours of the day, you're talking about 90 people walking through the door.
Yeah.
That's awesome, number one. But number two, that does present some different problems. And even though you guys have a tremendous amount of space here, it doesn't mean that it's easy to manage. Sometimes it's even worse, you know? So, and that's kind of what we were talking about today is a little bit of group management. And I've got some ideas for maybe space rearrangement. But but I think those are that's where I want everybody to get to. I want everybody to have a capacity problem because, like, you're doing the little things. People love it. They're getting results. So you guys are, how many, we were talking about how many people do you have here that are over, is it 65?
55.
55? Like you said, like 30?
Plus, way more. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're talking, I'll do math, but 250, 30 people was at 8. So I don't know, 12, 14% of your total population is over 55. And you have like quite a few that are over in their 70s.
Yeah.
I was joking about the 2 gentlemen who were laying down in the yoga room earlier, but that's cool. One of them was in the class, in that 9 a.m. class. I think that's really cool. But it's always continuing to try to enhance that. It was like, how do we give better coaching, but not be the fun vacuum, right? I'm not trying to suck all the excitement, and so that they're just like, all right, we got to do this stupid progression again. Like how do you? That's a balance, right? That's a balancing act.
Well, and that's kind of back what she was saying. Like, we can crank this wheel, and it's been fun, and that is one of the reasons that we were like, especially with 3 owners, it's always great when we have that extra coaching. Not that we need a boss or not that but we have something that's accountable and that keeps us, that we don't become complacent because because we are successful and we do what we do just fine.
Right.
But how do we become
Great.
and world class?
And I think kudos to you for acknowledging that and having the humility to be like, I want to be better. Tell me what I can do better. And I'm like, well, shit. You walk in here and then you're like, at first you're like, probably not a whole hell of a lot based on what I'm seeing here, but you guys are like, no, like tell us. There's a lot, right? We talk about the little peppermints we found under the roller.
Fern, why?
Damn, you
Come on, dog. Come on.
As she's rummaging around in the sofa when I got here. I'm like, what are you pulling out of the sofa, man? She's like crayons and pencils.
Karen grabs
like,
the vacuum is immediately cleaning it up.
No. Listen, you're never gonna. That's always gonna be the case inside of the affiliate. Sometimes we we joke. Cassie and I would just walk around the gym and just look at stuff, and I'm like, I want to find out who that was. I have so many questions for you. What was the series of things that decided that you came to the conclusion that was the appropriate place to put the barbell,
Peppermint
right? Or
wrappers.
whatever. Just like, what? Oh my God. How have you navigated life so far? But yeah, I mean, those are the little headaches, but I'll take those headaches all day long for people that come in here and love. Like I've just been watching the interactions that you guys have had throughout the day, like all 3 of you, and it's very clear that you guys are fully invested in the people that come in the door. Just like the little tiny things, like the little jokes, the things you know about people. That is the care. Like that's the give a shit, coming from the get shit done lady. Yeah. But that's really important.
Well, as different as the 3 of us are, I will say that all 3 of us care about people, and we care about this gym, and that has been a big driving. Whenever we get frustrated with each other, I can always look back and like, I know he's been a dickhead. Can I say that?
That's
fine. But I know he also cares about people. Right. It just comes out a different way.
Right.
I have tough love.
So
listen, I've had given that feedback. Be like, listen, you have a resting dick face. Like you should, or change your tone.
Such a thing?
Yeah. Oh, you have it. I don't know if you know this.
I'm learning new things.
I just diagnosed you.
Yeah, thank you.
No, it's I think that feedback is valuable, which is he is giving it. He does care, but sometimes, perception is reality. How that person perceives that, regardless of how he feels the delivery went. Matt, that's not how they felt. So it's like, well, hey, listen, I know that's how you like to do things, but like, you're going to have to soften that delivery up a little bit. And I've had to do that many times. You know, I come from, you have a military background, which is like, you just tell them. And I'm like, some people are like, or you could maybe deliver it a little bit differently instead of just slapping him across the face with the bad news. And I'm like, okay, that's fair. So Nate, I'll give Nate. Nate has always been very, very good at receiving feedback, which is typically not the case for like creatives and like people behind the camera. They're very, very like an emotional about what they do, which I get it, right? It's a lot of work. But Nate's always just like, and now when he first started, we were just like, hey, and he was taking it, but you could tell he was like, I'm not comfortable with this feedback that you're giving me. But I think it's important, right? And I think it should go in all directions. I think everybody should be open to it. But I think that's really cool. But it's readily apparent that is something that happens here. And I think that's really cool. So kudos to you guys for that.
Thank you.
That's amazing.
That means a lot that you saw it. Thank
you. Well, those are like the little weird nuances that I just kind of watch and I kind of like just try to digest like what's happening. Like you're buzzing around and then you came in and you're like hopping in the class and he's running, he's interacting beforehand. And how often are the three of you here at the same time? Probably not that often.
No, maybe once a week.
Yeah, once or twice a week, probably.
Yeah.
I live here, but that's...
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's what their roll-out mattress is?
Most of my stuff's on the computer, so I'm usually at home and stuff.
And I'm somewhere in between.
I've been having this conversation with my staff is how do we manufacture some of those? We're all here, right? Because like I would argue there's a tremendous amount of value to have all three of you here, even if it's for no other reason, just to have overlap.
Yeah.
And there's no particular agenda. We're just like, hey, we're just here because like that 5% enhancement of people's experience to be like, oh, Tyler, Ashley, Carol, and I get to have those three interactions.
Well, I can remember when we did a class together, probably a month ago, that we all somebody was like, all three owners are in this class.
Right.
Like, they were stoked about it.
They love that stuff, and you're like, why does that matter? But like, I don't know.
To us, it's like,
right. Yeah.
Okay,
like,
cool.
Yeah. So, but I think that stuff is really, really important. How many coaches do you have?
7, 8.
And that's the whole staff, like part-time and full-time?
Okay. 2 full-time. Tyler included that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Amina and I are pretty much, we're the openers. So we cover mostly. So our AM shift runs from 5 a.m. to about 1:30 p.m.
Okay. So you guys are running block schedules, so like a morning, afternoon.
Yeah,
okay, that's good.
It's a long one, though.
Yeah,
we kind of push back on them. That's a lot. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in a row. We don't love, but they like
5 is a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have help for the 5, 6, and 7. They have
3.
co-coach on that one, but then.
Okay, I want to come back to that, but yes, 5 is a tremendous, particularly no break.
No break with that many people coming in too.
That's now. It used to be. So post COVID, we ran an odd and even split. So
what do you mean?
Like as in there was no block, it was the day.
Oh, meaning like you have Monday.
Yep.
Just get the end of the day, you're just like disheveled.
Yeah, pretty much.
Holy shit.
Yelling at the 6 p.m.ers.
Nobody even knows what you're saying by the end of the day. They're like, are you drunk?
Yeah.
So I remember you had that so from 1:30 to about 3:30, like there's nothing or no one, and it was just kind of like shut the door, turn the lights off, maybe catch a nap just to recharge before you hit the evening. Because it was a very long day.
That's a long day.
I know people work 12-hour shifts, but it's a whole other ball game when you're trying.
That was embarrassing that we let that happen. Actually.
Yeah, but that's a 12-hour shift of being like on for 12 hours.
Dude, when I co-coach at 5, 6, and 7, I'm tired after 3 hours of co-coaching.
It's a lot.
So when we established that was because one of my coaches at the time had to commute 45 minutes one way. Right, and so it was very challenging for them to like just come up here for a few short hours, and turn and burn and go back home.
Yeah,
right?
that's rough.
So
yeah,
the proposal at that time was they would cover like 2 full days. Right, so
that's a lot.
I still think we have opportunity there with. I mean, Amina and Tyler do a great job with that, but I've heard obviously since being with you all, 3 hours tops. But I don't know how to, because it's hard to bring, a game for 5 hours. Then rest and then. I
mean, I think obviously anybody can develop a tolerance for that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think
they definitely have a tolerance.
Yeah, and but I still think that's a. I still don't know that it's optimal.
Right.
No, right. It's just okay, you can do it. Doesn't mean that you necessarily should.
Right.
But I'm just like spitballing. I'm like trying to come up with ideas on the fly. for what are the 5, 6, 7 are co-coached?
Yes.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Because those are high
Yeah.
attendance
Yeah.
days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fridays are getting there. We were probably getting ready to.
I love that you guys know that too, by the way. The have you considered like flip-flopping the co-coach? Meaning like Tyler and I show up for those 3 classes, so I'll be lead.
Oh, yeah.
He'll co-coach. When we
Oh, I
flip
don't
the
wanna
next
lead.
class, then
Yeah, that's more of the comfort
Then
level of
he'll
the
lead.
co-coach, honestly.
yeah.
But because most of them, even though they just probably don't have a lot of experience leading and being at the front yet. But if that's something that we brought to the table, then they would just either adapt or
Yeah. Well, the beauty of that is you're there.
yeah.
Right, so they're
Yeah.
leading, but like
You need help.
it's
boom.
like under the
Right.
the wing. That's kind of how we do develop coaches at the gym when we do the internship process, which we start them with like a section. Like you're just going to give the whiteboard brief, and you're going to give that until you can get up there and not stutter and get most of the things, and then we'll move on to the next section, and then we move on to the next section. So it might be an opportunity to kind of like speed up the development a little bit. Is like throw them in the fire a little bit, like but in a controlled environment, so they don't feel like they got thrown to the wolves.
Right.
Right.
Throwing a new coach into the 9 a.m. is like get eaten alive.
For a while there, our only coaching standard was you had to have your level 2. We've
it's
relaxed on
awesome.
that a little bit, so now some of our co-coaches have a level 1 and stuff like that. But I mean, I think the hardest thing would be looking at it is the consistency around some of that. Having so I know Amina and I will always be here because Amina's as the other coach with me is as invested, if not more, in this
Right.
gym, even though she's she's just been here for a decade or more.
Yeah.
Right. Where some of the co-coaches, it's just like 3 hours.
Yeah.
At the gym, 1 day a week. Right. So just being hopeful that they would also be as invested and be consistent around that time
Right.
frame. You know what I mean? I don't have a lot of flexibility with their schedules like Amina and I do.
Yeah, it can definitely be hard. So essentially there's 2 of you that are like fully plugged in, 2 coaches. Yeah. So we have that. 3, I think I have found for most gyms is a sweet spot. If you can get 3 people fully plugged in, that becomes pretty sustainable for a long period of
Yeah.
time because it allows because you can go into periods where like the 2 of you would take, like if he's going to go on vacation for 10 days or something like that, it's not really an issue for the two coaches to take the full weight of that for a week or 2 or
Right.
even a month in some instances. But then when you come back, everybody kind of goes back to like a much more sustainable workload.
Right.
And then they can bring like really good energy to the classes because they're not like always basically like burning it right to the end. They're like, I got to go
Right.
home,
Right.
Like I got one coach, she coaches 2 hours a week, but when she comes in bringing it. You
That's
know
the
what I mean?
best.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
like so it's like
Absolutely.
she gets a lot of like raves and reviews, and I'm like, yeah, but get after crush it.
Yeah.
And I hope people attend her class and enjoy it and take
Yeah.
advantage of it because. Like we were saying, like after 5 hours, you're like, I need a break.
Yeah.
I need to like mentally recharge,
Yeah.
eat something, right? Use the restroom, right?
Go to the
Like,
bathroom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's the good thing about
That's the great thing about the co-coach. You're like,
It's
I gotta go by.
Yeah. Make sure nobody dies.
Right.
2 minutes.
Yeah.
I'll be right back.
What are some of the things that you guys have seen? So how long have you guys been floating at that kind of 250 or 250-ish range?
Probably
remember?
2 years.
2
Yeah.
years. So as you guys were moving up to, because I consider that a larger gym. I mean, it's not like, I found out recently it was in Germany. Like in
1,000.
that like DACH region, which is Germany, Austria, Switzerland, I believe is what that is. 400, 500, 600 person gyms are like super common.
Wow.
Super common. I was like, God damn, that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
But what have you found to be challenging as you guys have grown? Like, what are some of the pain points involving?
The
For-
whole saying of more people, more things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, like there was a time at Pushin Weight, I knew everyone who walked through the door.
Right.
Because I'm not on the floor coaching, and for me, I had to give up at some time making sure that I knew exactly everyone. We have staff to do that between everyone.
Right.
Everyone at least knows most people. So that was a problem.
Yeah, it's a different. You know how there's the 150 number that
Yep.
everybody
Dunbars.
gets.
Yep.
And I feel like I there for a while I thought, well, you can have 150, I can have 150, you can have 150.
Hell
So
no.
our capacity is probably around 450
Right.
for that, of being able to keep that there's not cultures within inside the culture
Right.
and all of those pieces. But we've definitely hit that 150 mark at 250, 260, 300, that we are not that we want to be a 600-700 person gym, but we definitely have sat at this for a little bit where we are. So that was another part of like, where can we go
probably
from there?
like that sweet spot. Like past that marker, we're going to need more help somewhere.
Yeah, I experienced something very similar, and then we like ran right up to 300, and then we found ourselves like bouncing back into like the 260 range regularly. And I think it has a lot to do with what you're talking about, is how do you scale those one-on-one interactions, and then thinking through it as you get to some of those larger numbers. I don't necessarily, it might not be more coaches, it might be more support staff, like the concierge thing, which is like, it's more customer service need than coaching hours on the floor potentially, which is like, you know, if you're going to bring on, let's say you had 3 full-time people and you're like, we need another coach. But really, what's typically getting dropped in that scenario is not the classes.
It's people not coming to classes.
People not coming to classes, all the admin work.
So what do we do?
Because the coaches are just crushed, and they're like, well, let them coach. Can we dial in a scenario where I can bring in the people behind them that get to do the customer facing stuff that's not fitness related, and do all those interactions, put the card on the car, you know, give the patch, like, you know, make the phone call. All that
over
kind
the
of stuff.
past year, hire a customer care manager too, to kind of just like take care of like more, make sure someone's on top of all the check-ins for the week. And
so what is that? What does that person? What's that look like?
For right now, starting with they do the check-ins for people that haven't been in 7 days.
Okay.
They also do new member check-in, although we need to kind of tighten that up for 2024. And then also anything with life events, deaths, births, engagements, retirements, graduations, whatever. We send stuff to people that
it's like flowers. Yeah.
Food,
Case in point, last night I was coaching. One of the athletes mentioned, I saw an interaction between 2 members. One looked emotional, so I went and checked. Come to find out, the day prior, their dog had passed. So told the concierge got a hold of our CSM, and the CSM will send them something to the mail, just to like,
hey, thinking about you,
care on you,
dog paws, like
sorry,
whatever,
you know what I mean, like things like that. And so that's the benefit of one having that concierge up front. So like as the coach, I can, hey, real quick, boom, send that note out, and then the CSM takes care of that.
And then back to that attendance part, I will say this was our first year that we did Committed Club, and I would put our gym up against about any other gym about the amount of people that get up committed. We sit at 97, 85, 10. I think 108 was our highest of the year. 108 people came 16 times or more. A lot of those were
like
more
40%
than
or more.
Yeah, so I do contribute that we started the Committed Club, and then some of that customer interaction of getting them of, hey, you haven't been in 7 days. What's going on?
But I think going to kind of some things we mentioned earlier, which is the riddle is it's never one thing. It's never like, oh, we did Committed Club and everything changes. It gives you a little bit of momentum, but then it's like always kind of figuring out, okay, well, we're moving faster. There's going to be speed wobbles here. Mm-hmm. What's the next thing I can kind of put adjacent to that helps us maintain that speed, like the patches, the cards, all those other things, because, you know, people care about different stuff. Like your clients care about. Some of them are performance-based. Some of them are here for the community. Yeah. You know, some of them are here just because they get seen by people. They're just like, they said hello to me and they use my name and they're the only person that remember my birthday this year. Like stuff like that. Those are the things I can think of, and I'm sure you can too. I can think of probably half a dozen people, like right off the top of my head, that we found out something, we would send them flowers or something like that, and then not because of anything the coaches did on the floor. Those people have been with us for years. Mm-hmm. And had nothing to do with like they got their first muscle up or their pull up. They're like, my dad died. They sent flowers, and that meant the world to me. Yeah. And you're like,
I think like for us, like starting out at the gym, we brought a lot of recognition to in the gym PRs and things of that nature. And then over the time, as we have gotten to know our membership base much more, it's more about the personal achievements outside of the gym that we want to reflect on mostly, right? Like things that they accomplished, like bought our first house, boom, sweet.
That's
got
cool.
married, right?
Yeah.
You know, things like that. Like we just had a member who just retired, you know, and he's in his 60s. And so like, to me, like that those life achievements are what
Yeah.
you want to bring a lot of recognition to.
You know, as we're talking about this, it's there's obviously pendulums in everything, and I think if I was to assess what we've done poorly, meaning CrossFit Rife, and then I would even say like I don't know that the CrossFit community as a whole has done super well. As in the early days, it was competition, and then there was a big swing. It's just like competition's bad, and I'm like, I think which like that's important, man. Like we should not overlook that, but like we got to find the sweet spot between both, which is like you guys had a games athlete in here earlier, and I'm like we were joking, like nobody really knows who he is, and I'm like, that's awesome. Not that nobody knows who he is, but like that he doesn't care and they don't care, and I'm like, that for me, that's the sweet spot where you're like, oh well, that guy's training here, but these other people here, they're not here for that reason. But you can have a competitive environment that coexists with people that don't care about any of that stuff, and they're just like, dude, this is the third place for me.
Right.
I come here and they don't butt heads, and that's what I'd like to see everybody do.
Yeah.
That's I think like that's the
sweet spot.
technique and intensity thing, right? Just like, hey, it's not either or.
Right.
Like there's tremendous amount of value for the competition stuff. It's inspiring.
Yes.
You know, but many people don't care about that. They're just like, I want to be able to, garden without pain.
And I think we have a nice balance of that. I guess it's probably due to like Tyler and Mina's philosophy and coaching, because we definitely have people that take it seriously, and then we definitely have people just getting their hour in.
Right.
And I don't think it's been a deliberate piece for us, but they coexist in classes for us very easily.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, even coming from a little bit more of that competitive background, and then just doing like we'll call it gym pop class and things of that nature. It's just I've seen a ton of professional athletes always talk about like they always try to do stuff with the classes, right? To be a part of the community.
CrossFit.
Like this is my home gym, right? I'll grind out. I'll do some accessory. I'll do my programming, work on what I need to work on. But at the same time, I'll jump in with the community. They don't have to do it every day,
right?
But twice a week.
Yeah.
It's
not going to hurt your fitness.
Yeah, no, right? And they could take it super easy. They can make it a mover workout, but they're grinding side by side against somebody that's like, this is my 1 hour of the day where I get to focus on me, and I'm here and hear this.
Or when they partner with you and you work them.
Oh yeah. That's a fun
like
time.
That. You did it yesterday.
Faster, Caroline.
She's
like, I'm 68.
So it's a little humility for that athlete, right? They're like, all right, cool. I can hang out with everyone else. I don't have to just be in the corner doing my own stuff all the time. And then those athletes out there on the floor are like, cool, I got to work out with such and such today. Like that was fun. That was awesome to see them, see how well they move, see how hard they push themselves. Yeah. And it can give some inspiration to that individual. Like, all right, cool. Maybe I should work a little harder on doing double unders or getting that first pull up or whatever the case, right?
Yeah.
So.
And this will be our second year doing an intramural for the Open, and we do an in-house competition as well to give people some time to compete.
Not in conjunction with the Open, like a separate event.
Yeah. Just like kind of bring the gym together. So last year we did it
just for your members.
Yeah. So if you sign up for it, you get put in the intramural, and then last year was like a color team. This year we're going to have a funner theme around it and put two coaches. So last year was one coach to a bunch of people. So we had 4 teams, one coach.
Okay.
This year we're doing 2 coaches to each team to help with the information and things of that nature. Yeah. And then, we used to do 2 in-house competitions a year where one, you got to pick your partner. Mm-hmm. The other one, I got to pick your partner.
Ooh.
Well, we picked it out of the hat, partner.
Like that was it. Like we drew it, right?
And that was great for the community.
And just you get mixed up. So it's like, see what you got. And then around that, after the drawing, I would give them the first workout so they had time. The second workout they got to vote on. So it was kind of the same thing, slightly different format, A or B. So as a team, they knew what it was or the options around it, and they could vote on which one they preferred. And then the third one was a random like hopper wheel.
So we didn't know he didn't even know what it was.
Yeah,
We just
that's
threw
cool.
Just a couple things in the hat.
Tell me what you guys think about this. So this has been my experience. So as the gym, most CrossFit affiliates, when they're smaller, they'll do kind of a lot of community events. And then as they grow, my experience is those tend to die off because the operations of the gym tend to take over. Meaning like it becomes a heavier lift.
Yeah,
You're like,
it's
you
more money to do it. It's more.
You're like, I just don't have time or bandwidth.
Energy,
And but it's like, it's that balance, right? It's like, it's like, hey, that's what got you here.
Right.
And it's like, well, then you throw it out because it gets a little harder.
Yeah.
And I was having a conversation with the team the other day. I'm like, I want to go back to these little kind of micro, not necessarily like full blown
Right.
holiday party, but
Yeah.
like these things that like we know traditionally go well inside of the affiliate.
Yeah.
So we sat down and we kind of looped in the ambassadors on this too. And like putting that whole schedule out together and looking at, okay, what are the things that we want to do to really start to re-engage and reinvest in the community to give people what they want? Because I was like, we've really dropped the ball on that in the last couple of years, just because like
Yeah.
you got busy. And I was
Yeah.
just like, okay, well, that's not okay. We have to go back and revisit that now that I think we've gotten way more efficient on the systems. Okay, now we can refocus back on those things and do them well so that they're not like really painful, you know, like that's my whole game now, which is like, how do we do those things but like they just happen and they're easy and everybody's like, oh, we did it, and everybody's like fine, and nobody's like disheveled in the back corner be like, oh, we did it, but Kara, you know, needs to go to
Right.
sleep for a month.
I'm having flashbacks now.
Right.
Oh man, we used to like every Friday we would have like a cookout after
Every
the
Friday
last
already
class,
gives me
right?
anxiety.
Yeah,
Right,
right. Like I'm like, oh
exactly.
man, I couldn't imagine doing that now.
Exactly.
And then I mean, when we do Friday Night Lights, like people would hang out for hours. Like
Oh.
we would run heats from 4 till the last heat was done in the open, and then people would hang out and it became a huge social
Then
event.
it was
But then it's
drinking,
like 11
and
o'clock.
then it was
every
like
day,
playing.
you
We're
know,
like
I'm
back here Saturday. So yes, I do think that we've had a very similar cadence in that too. That we did it, and then we kind of and we have started to pick back up. And,
Yeah.
But I think for me, it's like, okay, it doesn't have to be so grandiose.
Right.
It can be hey, we're just going to do happy hour and pop over to Crazy
Right.
Rooster.
Yeah.
Or hey, we got this guy that's
Yeah, there's a
gonna do-
brewery about 400 yards that way.
So sometimes that thing, it can. What I want to make sure is it doesn't become just the same group of 12
Right.
people that keep
Right.
having that we keep doing the same thing. Okay,
Yeah.
well, maybe
And
not
that's-
everybody's a drinker.
yeah.
We've got lots of sober people. What do we do?
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
through there.
And
so
that's,
we
I
are doing
think,
some of
you know,
that stuff
really
too.
looking at the kind of PVBs, as we call them, those perceived value builders, is like, what are they? And if they're all the same flavor,
Right.
we got to start moving some of those
Yeah,
out
yeah.
and do
Yeah.
something else.
Well,
So,
because the happy hour is always the easy one. Who's the happy hour? Okay. Well,
right. Like, oh, it's you again. They're like, oh, it's just us. Okay,
Right.
cool. Well, listen, you guys are doing a fantastic job. This is a absolutely beautiful space. I cannot tell you guys how much I enjoy going to the gyms that we work with, because it's like, it's just cool to see. Like it's cool to see people crush. And it's cool to see you guys do it, and it's like cool to see like all these people and see all these stories and just reinforce like what we're all doing here, right? Man, like this whole CrossFit thing. So thank you guys for what you do. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
coming up.
And
out.
keep crushing.
Thank you.
Yeah, you
Thank
guys
you.
are doing it.
We
Keep
will.
pushing weight. Keep
All
pushing
right.
weight.
Right.
Like that. All right.
Plug and affiliate you.
Yeah, there you go. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks for checking out this episode of the Best Hour of Their Day podcast. We appreciate you listening and choosing to have us help you in your passion for coaching and affiliate ownership. You can find more episodes just like this on all podcast platforms. If you're interested in learning more, you can reach out to us on any social media platforms, or you can visit www.besthouroftheirday.com to book a call. If you found this episode helpful for you, please share it so that we can help other coaches and affiliate owners to help build a bigger and stronger CrossFit community. Thanks for listening.